Greetings, my fellow free lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, and I am transmitting from the north central regions of the Beehive State, which is known as Utah, honorably around the Ogden area, or Aurora to be exact. Today's date, August 11th, 2014. And first off, I'd like to send my condolences to the family, friends, and fans of Robin Williams, who recently passed away. And according to many of the sites, including Huffington Post, there was apparent cause of death was suicide. By axifation. Some of those psychotropic drugs, I would say. But it's a real shame. Loss of a good man, great entertainer, and played a lot of roles as a maverick. I do remember him from Happy Days, Mork and Mindy, and I enjoyed watching him in the movie Good Morning Vietnam and Dead Poets Society, just to name a few. And it's disheartening to hear and to read about it. And all I gotta say to Mr. Williams, thank you for bringing positive life to us. Plus, hopefully, we can find ways of defeating the pharmaceutical company, in my observation. Because I think he was battling, according to his publicist, he was battling severe depression. May your soul be forever free, my friend. And bless you and your family. Alright, next, actually, I'm going to be starting off, which I got from Susan Posel from Occupy Corporatism. And this is really exciting. This came out yesterday. I read it yesterday. So, I'm a little bit jacked up on it. It's entitled New Bill Calls for De-militarization of DHS, FBI, and others. And as it reads, House Representative Chris Stewart proposed the Regulatory Agency De-militarization Act, or also known as RAD, in order to eliminate federal regulators who are armed to the teeth and breaking into homes and businesses when there is no reason to think there would be resistance. On Stewart's website, a press release states, in recent years, numerous federal regulatory agencies, including National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, Food and Drug Agency, FDA, Department of Education, DOE, have created their own special law enforcement teams to conduct their own arrests and raids. This is a product of the 2002 Homeland Security Act, which gave most offices of Inspector General, OIG, arrest and firearm authority. RAD repeals the OIG's authority to arrest and firearm authority. Demands that OIG publish a complete report detailing all federal agencies, including OIG, with specialized units that receive special tactical or military-style training and that respond to high-risk situations that falls outside the capabilities of regular law enforcement officers. Stop federal agencies from purchasing machine guns, grenades, and other weaponry regulated under the National Foreign Relations Act. And all the light blue fonts, there are links, and they are legit. Okay? Stewart said, I understand that federal agents must be capable of protecting themselves, but what we have observed goes far beyond providing necessary protection when there are generally dangerous situations involving federal law. That's the job of the Department of Justice, not regulatory agencies like the FDA or Department of Education. Not only is overkill, but having these highly armed units within dozens of agencies is duplicative, costly, heavy-handed, dangerous, and destroys many sense of trust between citizens and the federal government. Recently, it has been reported that many federal agencies have been amassing hollow point bullets and other armory in unprecedented amounts. The Department of Homeland Security put out a solicitation to manufacturers for 63 million rounds of 40 caliber S&W, which is Smith & Wesson jacketed hollow point bullets for NOAA, and then made another request for 357 mag rounds that are able to pierce through walls. Back in 2009, the DHS ordered 450 million rounds of hollow point ammunition from Winchester Ammunition with a special contract to supply DHS with 200 million rounds of 40 caliber hollow point ammunition. Along with requests for ammunition, the DHS has replaced a solicitation by way of the Transportation Safety Administration, TSA, for 700 pounds of high-density ammonium nitrate and 700 pounds of A5 flake RDX within the delivery date scheduled for August 31st, 2012. DHS has been purchasing riot gear, armored vehicles, MREs, and other supplies that could be used during a martial law scenario and contracting Sig Sauer, a gun manufacturer, to provide gun parts. DHS continued their military-themed solicitations with a request for 2,717 mine-resistant protected vehicles from Navistar Defense. The Max Pro DXM is built to withstand ballistic arms fire, mine blasts, IEDs, and other emerging threats. This vehicle can deflect IED blasts away from the vehicle and is recommended for combat conditions such as seen in Afghanistan. DHS also requested that Shelters Direct provide their agency with this 4x13 steel UL 752 Level 3 bullet-resistant booth. The U.S. Forest Service, or USFS, secured a bid for 300,000 rounds of ammunition that will be delivered to Albuquerque, New Mexico. The Pacific Southwest region of the USFS solicited ammunition that's allegedly needed for target practice. In instance, the amounts of hollow point bullets, 12-gauge rifle slugs, and other accessories are smaller than DHS has requested through other federal agencies. I find that pretty blasphemy, my friends. You don't need hollow points for target practice. Good grief. They think we're just a bunch of morons. Alright, we'll proceed. The Federal Protective Service, FPS, has been given the responsibility to protecting federally owned property while preparing for a civilian-led rise unexpected in the near future. Part of the preparatory measures was an order of 150 sets of riot gear that was requested to be filled exponentially. The FPS is anticipating that police or military wearing the gear would encounter blunt force trauma to the upper torso as well as potential beatings with blunt objects. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, FWS, requested the following items in a solicitation: Remington frangible 40 caliber pistol ammunition, 2,500 rounds. Remington 40 caliber pistol ammunition, 180 grain full metal jacket, 6,000 rounds. Remington 223 caliber rifle ammunition, 62 grain full metal jacket, 3,000 rounds. Remington FX marking cartridges, 9mm, 2,000 rounds. The Social Security Office has also made a solicitation for 174,000 rounds of 357 Magnum hollow point bullets. I find this one of the greatest tyrannical methods that the federal government can do to our tax dollars. I consider this to be called RICO. Racketeering, which it means racketeering and criminal organization. That's right. As far as I'm concerned, the federal government should be charged for RICO. And the RAD bill, I read it. There's no number yet, but there's a link to it. And I am very thrilled about this. So there's a link to it, and I recommend you send this to your congressman and even to the Senate, the ones that live in the United States, because this is fantastic, because they're trying to centralize the entire nation. And that's why I've been saying this for years, stressing it, like the war on terror is a conflagration with ourselves or a war with ourselves. And when I read the bill, it's like 4 pages long. I say make sure the U.S. congressman or woman takes the initiative on pushing for this bill. Has no number yet, but definitely check it out and do a little more research on it. I am very, very excited on this because when you look at it, the federal government wants to encroach on our rights as citizens, even with the states. And I recommend you folks read Fellows Papers 46, written by James Madison. Plus, or if not, I do have an past episode on that. So definitely check it out. Share it to everyone you know, even the ones from around the world. If you have friends in the United States, send this episode to them also, including all the information, footnotes. Okay. All right. Next thing I'm going to be going here came out yesterday, to be exact, by naturalsociety.com. Is written by Christina Sarich. Bee crisis gets expert attention. 800 studies reveal why bees are dying. And as it reads over here, maybe once the White House garden is completely devoid of all pollinating insects and animals like bees, birds, and butterflies, President Obama and the First Lady will take notice of the obvious effects. Sorry about that. Neonicotinoids, or neonics, are having on our ecosystem. A recent meta-analysis of over 800 studies confirmed the damage that pesticides are doing these vital creatures is adding to the media buzz, giving bees and butterflies the attention they deserve. The buzz is leading to lawsuits, bans, and increased consumer activism from more than 500,000 people demanding that Lowe's and Home Depot remove all neonics from their shelves. To three environmental groups in California, suing the state's Department of Pesticide Regulation, hoping to stop use of the 3 pesticides approved just this June. To the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, announcing last week it was going to phase out neonics in Pacific Northwest refuge. We're making progress, but isn't enough fast enough. Nicole Harriet, staff scientist with Beyond Pesticide, says the science shows that not only the systematic pesticides lethal to pollinators, but even low doses can disrupt critical brain functions and reduce their immunity to common pathogens. President Obama did release a memo that says he was going to create a pollinator health task force, but neonics need to just be banned across the board right now. This federal strategy will include a pollinator research action plan with a focus on preventing and recovering from pollinator losses, including study how various stressors like pesticides, pathogens, and management practices contribute to pollinator losses. The task force will also engage in a public education initiative and develop public-private partnerships with various stakeholders. If this will be anything like the task force the government assigned to look into GMOs, then we're not going to fare very well. List of experts include known biotech supporters. Yep, Barry Soetoro knows best. Good grief. Let me just keep on proceeding here. Honeybee colony populations have dropped from 6 million in 1947 to just 2.5 million today. Monarch butterflies migration numbers are dwindling too. Neonics have been linked to impaired learning in pollinators, food collection, navigation, immune function, and reduced egg laying. Even worms affected, and they are responsible for the soil health. Neonics are totally invasive. They take over a plant's roots, leaves, pollens, and nectar, and almost no toxicity assessments have ever been complied on them. We are witnessing a threat to the productivity of our natural and farmed environment, equivalent to that posed by organ phosphates, or DDT, wrote Jean-Marc Baumatin, an author of a study on neonics. Even the EU has implemented a 2-year moratorium on neonics due to their obvious negative impacts. And there's additional sources from EcoWatch. Yes, and I do find this very disturbing, to my friends. And let's conform with the land rather than destroying it. When you got all these chemical plants, chemical companies trying to shove this garbage down our throats, and it's just the stuff with the bees and the plants, human beings like you and I. And as far as I'm concerned, this is more of a eugenics plan. We don't know if these neonics can sterilize us or our children. So, and to be very frank, we should have it, instead of having the federal government getting involved, we should have each state do our thing, do their thing, do their investigation on why the bees and the other butterflies are dwindling, and shut these damn places down. And two, stop buying their pathetic products. You get them where it hurts, is their wallet. So hopefully, a matter of time, we can just actually live off the land, let Mother Nature take its course by taking care of her. Alright, well, next article I'm going to be checking out, reading here. It's by, I originally got this from the Daily Sheeple, but it's Joe for America, Joe the Plumber. And this was entitled, ISIS suicide bombing instructor blows up class by accident. Feel-good story of 2014. This is posted by Roddy Lee Conover on August 11th, 2014. As it reads here, now I can only show you this once. Who says there's only bad news in the papers? In a terrorist training facility just north of Baghdad, an ISIS commander who is teaching 21 trainees how to successfully blow themselves up apparently is, or should I say, a strict stickler for details. He blew them up to all smithereens by detonating the suicide belt loaded with explosives. Right now, you're probably wondering if this were true. Who reported the story? I don't know, but here's how the Belfast Telegraph reported, and there's a link for the Belfast Telegraph. And as it reads, Rod Hashim, who works at a liquor store near the site of the bombing, burst out laughing. This is so funny, he said. It shows how stupid they are, those dogs and son of dogs. On a more serious note, he added, it also gives me pain as I remember to all the innocent people that were killed here. This God showing justice. This God is sending a message to the bad people and the criminals in the world to tell them to stop injustice and to bring peace. Evil will not win in the end. It is always that wins over death. Another local told the newspaper, I heard this today when my friend rang me in the afternoon to tell me about it. He was so happy if he was getting married, which made me happy as well. In pictures, the rise of ISIS. I hope that their graves burn and the rest of them burn as well. I was not happy with the number killed though. I wanted more of them to die. As I remember my friend who was killed in the suicide bomber in 2007. A further 15 people were wounded in the explosion, according to the police and army official, which took place at the compound situated in northeastern Salahuddin province. The instructor, who was not named but was described by the NYT by an Iraqi army officer as a prolific recruiter who was able to kill the bad guys for once. Leave it to the Irish to make this warm-hearted, but I love it. Virgins for everybody. Well, all I gotta say about ISIS, that's what happens when you're groomed up to the New World Order. Because as far as I'm concerned, ISIS is nothing more than a part of the one world government regime. They are not true Muslims. They're a bunch of scumbags, and I say that with love. Furthermore, they're trying to slaughter everyone within the Judaic faith, whether it's Judaism, Christianity, or Islam. Alright? These guys are not Muslims, period. They're just they're just using that in name only. Minos, Muslims in name only. So I am happy about this as well, because we all know ISIS is funded by the banks and the New World Order. If you start doing your homework, then you realize it's just a stage. It's just a stage to the world. So good. I'm glad those parasites got what they deserve by choosing poorly. That's all I have to say. And not out of hatred, but principle. All right? Okay, this one here, next one. This is a past archive, which I just looked up today. Came out actually August 7th. Yes, August 7th, 2014. After the video for it. And it's from Libyan War, thetruth.com. And it's entitled, there's a video for it, it's called Great Tribes of Libya Cleaning Their Country of Islamic Extremists. It was written by Joanne M. She's one of the, her and her husband, they do business with the people in Libya, and they know firsthand what's really happening. And as it reads here, the great tribes of Libya have joined together to begin the systematic cleansing of their country from the Islamic extremist rubbish and all foreign mercenaries working with them. They have begun with Tripoli and are having substantial success. The Misruda criminals, now starting to have great losses, are scared. Shocked that they are losing, they are in great fear. They even brought in Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, Aznar, Al-Sharia, and other radical Islamic mercenaries from all over the region to help. They are still losing. The tribes of Libya and their eternal military organizations have been trained for many years to fight radical Islamic terrorists. Gaddafi was 100% against extremists, and all his military was trained to fight them to keep them out of Libya. Besides having a wealth of knowledge about their people and their country landscape, the tribes are bound by their heritage to clean their country of these immoral criminals. They will do it. It has begun. The strong Warshafana tribe of Tripoli has captured a Pakistani Al-Qaeda mercenary sniper working with the Misruda militias. See the photos and video below. This Al-Qaeda mercenary was carrying a fake Libyan ID issued to him by none other than Abdallah Al-Thani, the once defense minister of the puppet government of Libya. Al-Thani took over temporarily as prime minister when Ali Zadine was forced from power. The last few days was found this man, Al-Thani, no longer PM, no longer defense minister, in D.C. attempting to gather support from the U.S. government to back his gangs of radical Islamists in their attempt to maintain control of Libya by any means. There are photos below on there, so everyone can read it and look at it. But who does he represent? No one in Libya. Last night, near Tripoli, another mercenary sniper was killed by the Warshafana tribe. This man was Egyptian and a member of a terrorist organization, the Muslim Brotherhood. This man also carried a fake Libyan ID. At this time, there is no recognized government of Libya. The puppet government has completely collapsed because it was never there to serve the Libyan people. It was only there to serve its Zionist masters and to rob the people of Libya of their country, their freedom, and their wealth. As it crumbled, so did its hold on the Libyan people. The gangs of terrorists that walk the streets policing the public like Hitler's brown shirts are no longer being paid. Being mercenaries, they have no loyalty to any country, so without pay, they are not interested to fight. The banks of Libya have been closed for some weeks now as they are being robbed by the militia gangs on a daily basis. All foreign embassies are closed. The country is now in the hands of the tribes. This is the first time since Obama, Clinton, and NATO illegally attacked their country in 2011 that the Libyan people begin to see hope for a better future. Yeah. And I'll be very sincere. I am not a diehard or Gaddafi sympathizer or fan or anything like that. I know the man may have rough edges, and he made some big foul-ups. Okay? However, what NATO and Barack Obama, President Obama did, and Hillary Clinton, it was dead wrong. It was an illegal attack. And I don't know why the people of the United States never took the initiative to go on the streets and go and get a big protest on these yahoos, these chicken hawks that they are. If it was a Republican, they'll be foaming at the mouth because they believe their Lord and Savior does no wrong. And you know what? That's what happens when you join the puppet mouseketeering parties. One-dimensional, don't get you anywhere. And don't get me wrong, there's good people who are registered Democrats, including registered Republicans, believe in liberty. There are liberty caucuses in these parties, but they're being shut down, and people treat them like they deserve to wear a tinfoil hat. And you know what? That is wrong. And what happened here, I'm very pleased that the tribes of Libya, all the great tribes of Libya, uniting to get rid of these parasites. If they get hanged, so be it. And like it's called, blowback. They don't know what they're doing. Their opposition don't know what they're doing. I have to correct that. And the fact is, too, this is part of another one world government agenda. Club of Rome 101. And we all know, too, the Muslim Brotherhood, they're not Muslims. They're hypocrites, too. Just like Al-Qaeda and ISIS, etc. These radical Islamic mercenaries, they are not for Allah, okay? Get that out of your head to all you Islamophobics out there. You got your crackpots in every movement and organization, but don't condemn them all. And that's why I have to give homage to the great tribes of Libya for cleaning their country out. It is taking a matter of time, and I hope and wish they will prevail, and Libya will be a 100% sovereign nation, and they can be self-contained, so be it. And to all those bastards don't like it, too bad. Deep down inside, you know I'm right. Okay, but I enjoyed reading that article as well, and watch the video too, please. All right, well, here's some interesting news here. It came out from the Liberty Crier. And, it came out today. It's entitled 22 State Attorneys in General join pro-Second Amendment brief in SAFE Act appeal. Gentlemen, they call them binary loop. All right. As it reads, amicus curiae, or a friend of the court. Briefs have been filed in Noje versus Cuomo, the appeal from the decision of Judge William Scrutiny last year that largely upheld the New York Secure Ammunition and Firearms Enforcement, or SAFE Act. The plaintiffs challenged bans on large-capacity magazines and assault weapons as redefined that the requirement that magazines contain no more than 7 rounds, and new rules on ammunition sales as unconstitutional. After Judge Scrutiny denied most of these claims, the case decided as the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association, Inc. versus Cuomo was appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. 22 generals in 22 states. Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Michigan, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Texas, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming have filed an amicus brief in support of the plaintiffs. I gotta congratulate my Florida Attorney General, Pam Bondi, for choosing wisely on this particular subject. So I thank her for that, even though I will criticize her in other areas. I will proceed. In contrast, the chief legal officer for only 9 states plus D.C., Maryland, California, Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Hawaii, Illinois, Iowa, Massachusetts, and Oregon have opted to support the SAFE Act through their own amicus filing. Predictably, many of these jurisdictions have gun laws that similarly restrict or ban assault weapons and large-capacity magazines. Well, Mal would be proud for those legal officers. The ends-driven argument in support of the SAFE Act is that the absolutist reading of the Second Amendment advanced by the plaintiffs threatened to tie the hands of states in responding to threats to public safety. Yet the plaintiffs simply assert that the outright ban on firearms commonly used for law purposes by law-abiding citizens burdens the fundamental right to keep and bear arms and should be subject to the highest level of court review in accordance with constitutional law. Amicus briefs supporting the plaintiffs' arguments have only been filed by the National Rifle Association, the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the New York State Sheriff's Association, the Legal Enforcement the Law Enforcement Legal Defense Fund, the Law Enforcement Action Network, and the International Law Enforcement Educators and Trainers Association, among others. The NRA briefs argue that laws like the SAFE Act that prohibits the possession of firearms in the home of law-abiding citizens, where Second Amendment guarantees are at their zenith, must be subject to the highest standard of constitutional review, strict scrutiny. It adds that the social science evidence regarding the SAFE Act's supposed public safety benefits, which was heavily relied on in Judge Scretany's opinion, is clearly insufficient foundation for the court's conclusion when analyzed critically and carefully. For example, one expert in the case admitted that the state-level restrictions on firearms and magazines did not have an impact on crime, contrary to the links the court drew between evidentiary record, the SAFE Act prohibitions, and the impact on public safety. The appellate case has yet to be heard, but among the states that have weighed in on it, the clear weight of opinion is against the constitutionality of the SAFE Act. Upon a fair and impartial hearing, that view should also prevail in the Second Circuit. This is from the NRA ILA. That's their source. Well, it was very hilarious when a judge has an opinion about the SAFE Act, which, it could be constitutional. And you don't have to just use the Second Amendment. You could use the Ninth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which are enumerated laws. So technically it's called natural law. And that needs to be pushed as well. You got to push that envelope. In addition, for all those states that support the SAFE Act, I recommend everyone in those areas to look at your state constitution, and it should have language pertaining to natural rights. Of course, right to bear arms, but natural born rights as well. And you could throw that to those those chief legal officers who are a bunch of compromising yahoos, as far as I'm concerned. And you can even tell Jerry Brown in California to stick it as well, and the rest of those chumps. So, but definitely, I am, pro self-defense, pro firearms, pro natural law. So it's not going around pouncing that, I got to get my guns. I'm not going to flaunt it, but I'm going by this in good faith, because the truth of the matter is, if you want the people to prepare for tyranny, you want to make sure they have the best weaponry against it, rather if the times are foreign or domestic. So I hope this case will go in the favor of the pro-liberty side, the pro-Bill of Rights culture, rather than the compromising hacks. All right, so that's how far I'm going to go with this one. And you can toss your own views as well. Okay, well, finally, I'm going to hit one more here. This is another pro-liberty related. This is from Personal Liberty Digest. It came out today, August 11th, and it's from the USCCA. Pretty interesting. Let's see here for a moment. Let me see. Oops. I'm just checking out here. If not, no big deal. I'm just real curious. Yeah, okay. No problem. It's from the USCCA, which is the United States Concealed Carry Alliance or Association. And as it reads here, it's called Carrying Concealed in the Busybody Culture. And as it reads, one of the first things that any competent carry instructor teaches his or her student is conflict avoidance. This is, or should be, a basic way of life for all of us who carry firearms for self-defense. Someone with a short temper or a belligerent attitude, or for lack of better description, a chip on their shoulder, should seriously consider whether or not they should be carrying a gun. Not only are such people more likely to get into serious trouble, they can make things more difficult for the rest of us when their actions lead to greater restrictions on our rights. Thankfully, most of us do go out of our way to avoid confrontations. But we should do when we meet people who seems to be intent on provoking a confrontation with us. As you may have noticed, there is a noticeable increase in the number of busybodies in our culture. People who seem to feel entitled to openly criticize the behavior of others, or even when it has no effect on them. A couple of examples should illustrate this. One friend of mine is a fitness fanatic. He's a former Army Ranger who runs, works out, and spends a lot of time on his bicycle. He never wears a helmet, and the other day, as he was riding down the side of the road, some guy in the car screamed at him, "Hey, where's your helmet, a-hole?" My friend, who was carrying, wisely chose not to respond. He is fully aware that escalating such a situation has no upside to it, especially for him. Another permit holder, I know, a Vietnam combat veteran, was sitting on the bench in a local public bar, quietly enjoying one of his favorite cigars. No surprise, it wasn't long before some guy walking down a dog came along to say to my friend, "That's disgusting." The vet is one of the most nicest people to meet you'll ever meet. Calmly replied, "Well, sir, since this is America, I guess you're entitled to your own opinion." The dog walker became downright hostile and yelled, "Oh, go F yourself." The vet simply smiled and said nothing as he relayed to me. Some folks aren't just worth the hassle. He's right, and I have to agree with him as well. We do seem to live in a world where people no longer respect the once time honored American saying, "Mind your own business." I've seen people putting notes on cars because they were parked in a handicapped space. What business is it of theirs? Order a burger, cooked bloody rare, and a waitress will not very likely frown and tell you that's not good for you, you know. I recently had a woman sitting next to me at a breakfast cafe. As I salted my eggs and hash browns, this complete stranger actually had the nerve to lean over me and tell me, "You shouldn't be using so much salt. It causes high blood pressure." I simply replied, "Ma'am, I am perfectly capable of deciding what I can or cannot eat. I'm sure you can do the same." Now, most of these rude people are merely annoying and seldom dangerous, but any confrontation can spiral out of control. So first and foremost, make sure that you mind your own business yourself. Hint, see Road Rage is a link to that. Then learn to ignore or walk away from those who don't mind theirs. Common sense should trump ego, and avoiding conflict is always better option. Stay smart and safe. John Cayley. And he represents the United States Concealed Carry Association. I like that. I think that's really cool. Of course, hey, you can't please everybody. You always gotta have someone think they're better than everybody else. Gotta tell you what to look, how you're gonna wipe your butt, when you're gonna have sex. You know what? That's your priority or your decision making. Yes, we all gotta take responsibility for our actions. And most of the time, getting mad at these idiots is too good for them. Because you'd be doing them a favor. Smile at them or blow them a kiss. Give them a little love. That will drive them a little bit more crazy. I know how it is because there's times I have a sign up, and most people are great. We'll have a good discussion. Others try to call me names and belittle me. And there one day, one gentleman said that I was a Republican, which I'm not. And I said, "Well, sir, with all due respect, will you please take your Ku Klux Klan attributes somewhere else?" And I just saw blood vessels popping out of his brain. "You're calling me a bigot, a Ku Klux Klan member?" So, like I said, it's nothing new. Getting mad at these people is too good. Get them with kindness because you get them thinking a lot more. And I have to agree, always be responsible for your actions, including firearm owners that do carry proudly. Don't create trouble. Avoid it much as they can. And if you get threatened or attacked, then that's a whole different ballgame. Then you can use force when it's necessary. But thereafter, give everyone a little love at the best of your ability. All right, my friends. I know it's a little bit short, which is fine. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. And you could, I'm going to put all these footnotes on my Spreaker page. You can hit me on Spreaker, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Blogger, many others. And that's it. So, and always remember, that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate societies. Until then, or next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.